What's up, guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today we're continuing our full set review of Wheels of Vengeance with the uncommons. Now, starting us off here, without any further ado, we have Nightmare, number 13 in the set, kicking off the uncommons here. And this suit, for some reason, it gives me like Green Ranger vibes. Like, I feel like you could easily, replace the head on this figure and, put like a Green Ranger helmet on it, and you just have an easy Green Ranger, sculpt if you wanted to like customize it or something. Probably need a different dial though, but I just wanted to point that out. It looked very Green Ranger-y to me. Anyway, he's got the Cosmic Energy team ability, of course, so he's Protected Outwit and has willpower. Cosmic Deity, Monster, Mystical, and Ruler keywords. Then he has Traded Incapacitate, and then opposing characters within range that have 2 action tokens can't have their action tokens removed except by clearing. That's pretty great, so it means they can't use Willpower or Leadership or any other type of effect like that to remove their action tokens. They just have to clear. And then you also have Mind Control and Stealth right there on that special movement power with a 13 attack, 18 with Impervious, and just 1 damage with Shape Change. So with the Stealth and Shape Change and Impervious, he's got a lot of layers of defense that can't be outwitted either. And, 13 attack with a 6 range triple target Mind Control or Incapacitate is pretty freaking good. It is 115 points, though, so that is a lot of points just to be kind of messing with your opponent, not really hurting them at all, making them hurt each other maybe with the Mind Control. But for a mere 55 points, you can get Plasticity, Poison, Mastermind, and Outwit, and you can still have that triple target Incapacitate and everything. So I would say he's not too bad. Like, it really just kind of comes down to the fact that Incapacitate right now is not super strong, but his trait that makes them not be able to pull off their own tokens if they're double tokened is pretty good. It does kind of, increase the effectiveness of his Incapacitate. So if you're going after the right targets and you're putting a second token on them, it is going to make it that much more difficult for them to, it's going to really hurt their tempo that much more. And if there's no good targets that have like 1 token to get them just 2 tokens, then, just mind controlling them all to punch each other is pretty good. If you're at the 115 point line, I feel like that's still a few too many points, personally. I feel like he could have been, 100, maybe like 80 or 90 even. But it is what it is. I think for 55 points, he makes a nice little, annoying harasser type thing with the triple incap and the outwit and, stopping them from pulling tokens off. So that's pretty cool. I'd probably use him at that point value if I wanted somebody that just messed with opposing figures. So overall, I'd say he's okay. Nothing too crazy, but, he's good at what he does. Next up here, we've got Robbie Reyes, this time in his full Ghost Rider mode. And I kind of think it's funny that they still call him Robbie Reyes. I can understand it with the common one because he is just like normal Robbie Reyes, but this one is like full Ghost Rider mode. So I feel like they should call him Ghost Rider on here maybe. It would be nice just for some effects. Like there's some effects in this set that look for other characters with Rider in their name and stuff like that. So it'd be nice for that, but it is what it is. And there is a lot of other Robbies that do have the name Ghost Rider, so if you want to, you could still use those. This one's pretty cool though, 75 points, Avengers, Fantastic Four, Shield, Wakanda, Monster, and Mystical. Pretty good selection of keywords there. He's got the Mystic's team ability, the Spirit of Vengeance trait. I think this is our first time seeing this trait here in this set. There's quite a few Ghost Riders that have that trait in this set. It says when Robbie Reyes attacks an opposing character that took damage from Mystics since your last turn, he deals penetrating damage. If the friendly character that dealt damage from Mystics also had this trait, increase his damage dealt by +1 during that attack. So it kind of helps you, especially if this character, like if they were to hit Robbie, then he would be able to do more damage back to them, for vengeance, right? He's got improved movement for characters, hypersonic, with 11 attack Quake, 17 with some energy shield, and 3 damage with a special damage power that gives him Perplex with a unique modifier that when he uses it, if the target shares at least 2 keywords with him, he may modify the chosen combat value +or-2 instead. That is actually pretty freaking awesome. Now, it just says when he uses Perplex, if the target shares at least 2 keywords with him, he may modify it +or-2. So technically, he could +or-2 his own stats. So you could +2 his attack or his movement or his range or something like that if you need to, or his defense even. So that is pretty awesome. Having a +2 Perplex on yourself is great. And, if he's got, like Monster Mystical is pretty easy 2 keywords to share on somebody, or even if they have like Avengers and Mystical for like, Doctor Strange, maybe they got Avengers and Monster like Hulk or something. There's some pretty cool things you could do there. A lot of Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm sure. Some Avengers Fantastic Four, like Spider-Man, Wolverine, maybe. A lot of cool things you could do with that. Like I said, there's a million Monster Mystical pieces, so +2 perplex is always going to be good. He's got a pretty decent, hypersonic dial there. I wish the Quake worked with it, though. They changed Quake so that's not going to work with the hypersonic anymore, unfortunately. It would be nice to be able to knock back a whole bunch of enemies, run back a few more squares and have that ESD to keep you safe. But, regardless, I think he's pretty fun. He's 75 points is maybe a little high. If you wanted him just for the +2 perplex. Like, if you wanted him just for the +2 perplex, I kind of wish there was maybe like a 50-point line that just like started with the running shot and energy explosion. I think that would be pretty awesome, and like make him a lot more playable. But as is, he's still fine, and I think he's a pretty decent version of the character overall. However, next up we have Morger The Mystic here. I'll be honest, this is one of those random characters I'm not super familiar with, so I don't really know too much about him. Seems like just an old wizard dude to me, though. So we'll take a look at his card here. Battle World, Weird World. Okay, that gives me a lot of info right there. Mystical and Past. The Wizard. Opposing characters' combat values except range can't be modified when attacking Morger the Mystic or being attacked by Morger the Mystic. That's actually really strong. That means, they can't use ESD or combat reflexes, and the perplexes don't matter, and, even attacking him, they can't use, like, close combat expert, range combat expert, perplex, anything like that. Even hitting him with, a terrain isn't going to up their damage or anything, so pretty freaking awesome to have that. Bound to Chthon, free, deal Morger the Mystic 1 unavoidable damage. Modify his attack and damage +1 this turn. Not bad. We do have the Chthon super rare that does something similar to that. Anybody with the mystical keyword can kind of like be assigned Chthon, and then he can +1 all their stats, but whenever they take an action, they take an unavoidable damage. So I imagine, putting Chthon on him and using his free to deal him an unavoidable to get +1 attack and damage, he'd be pretty strong at that point. Although I don't think that would be too smart to do both, because he would kind of just KO himself after like 3 or 4 turns of doing all that damage to himself. But it is a really cool effect to have, without having to have the super rare, to just be able to deal him the unavoidable to +1 his stats. And it lets him kind of, play with his dial. Like if you are on the penetrating blast, but you'd rather see the energy explosion right now, then boom, just get that energy explosion and that prob right away. And maybe if you're right here and you want to get back to the penetrating blast, boom, take that unavoidable, why not? So it is always nice to have that kind of option with your characters. And yeah, I think for, 75 points, not too bad. Again, he does some really good stuff. I could definitely see him on like a mystical team doing some fun stuff. He's a pretty good range attacker. He got some supporting powers there with the enhancement and the prob and stuff. And yeah, overall, like I said, he's not too bad, but I think I could see him playing pretty well on some popper teams as a good ranged attacker. Especially with the whole combat values can't be modified when attacking or attacked by him thing is pretty nice too. Other than that, though, I don't really see him being played. There are just better range attackers for that kind of point value, but he's a fun mystical character nonetheless. Next up, we've got Man-Wolf here. So same sculpt as the regular werewolf, but this time he's white and has purple pants on. So yeah, whatever. He's got the Spider-Man family team ability and keyword, animal, cosmic, monster, and police as well. They've got the moon trait, so at the beginning of your turn, roll a d6 for all friendly characters with the moon trait. And on a 1 through 4, you can use shape change. On a 5 or 6, he gets +1 attack and flurry, just like the regular werewolves. So for 60 points, you got Charge, Precision, Impervious, and Battle Fury. That's actually pretty great. If you land on that Flurry, he'd have a 12 attack, Charge, Flurry, Precision Strike, Battle Fury. So you can get through, Shape Change. He can make their super senses harder to hit, and he's going to be dealing at least 1 damage no matter what on each attack. And yeah, that's pretty strong right there. You got Impervious plus Super Senses on a 6. Kind of wish he just had like Super Senses back here or something instead of Combat Reflexes maybe, so he could have the Super Duper Senses, but it's still pretty good. Then his trait here gives him Plasticity and Stealth, and free, place Man-Wolf in a square of hindering terrain within 4 squares in line of fire. That's pretty awesome too. So you can kind of charge in there, get in some hits, and then jump back into some stealth, or you can kind of just hop into hindering and then charge to get that extra reach. So either way, works pretty well. I think for 60 points, he's a pretty decent close attacker. Even if you just end up with shape change, having the, impervious shape change and super senses on a 6 and stealth, there's a lot of layers of defense there. So I do like him a lot, especially Spider-Man family keyword is fun for me. I like that keyword a lot, and monster is really strong right now. So if you're needing just a kind of cheap little close attacker, you could throw him on one of those kind of teams. Although those kind of teams do have a lot of really good close attackers, but if you're not lucky enough to have some of the crazy chases, and especially for more pulp type games, I think he'd be a pretty good choice. All right, but up next we've got Elsa Bloodstone here. Looking awesome with her trench coat and that kind of like orange suit and orange hair and everything. But anyway, then we will take a look at her card here. She's got the Avengers team ability. Avengers keyword with Legion of Monsters, Midnight Suns, Next Wave, Martial Artist, Mystical, and Warrior. So a lot of good keywords there. But her trait says that when an opposing character that hit Elsa Bloodstone this turn would heal 1 or more clicks, deal them 1 unavoidable damage instead. Safeguard Mystics. So that's a pretty awesome trait. It basically hurts anybody trying to steal energy to heal off of her, or any other similar effect, as well as being safeguarded from mystics, which there's a lot of mystics in this set. So, just nice to have, especially for like sealed games and stuff. But then you have special attack power, precision strike. When Elsa Bloodstone attacks opposing characters with the monster or mystical keywords, can't use mastermind or shape change. So that's pretty awesome. There's a lot of shape change in this set too, like we've seen with the werewolves and stuff. And that's comboed with the fact that it already gives her precision strike, so that's also going to help, get through super senses, which, those annoying, pesky super sense shape changers, you always need something to combat those. And against characters with monster or mystical keywords, so that's really good right now. Even against some of the most powerful figures like, Carnage Silver Surfer is a monster who has super senses and shape change. So she can do some good damage to him. She is, although 65 points, she's got some stealth, toughness, ranged combat expert, so she'll be shooting 12 for 4. I'd probably want to give her a motorcycle to give her running shot, though. And with the Avengers TA, you could also kind of bump her up to like a 13 on the right targets when making ranged attacks. So yeah, I think a motorcycle would be good to give her running shot. And if you don't know what that does, we'll take a look at that here in a little bit later on in this video. But yeah, anyway, she's pretty cool. I like her. She's a good range attacker. She's a good, literal silver bullet to certain characters, which I think is always fun to have. All right, but up next we've got Simon Garth here. And he is basically a zombie. I think I have like one of the old figures of him, like he was the zombie or something. But anyway, he has Howling Commandos, Legion of Monsters, Monster, and Mystical keywords. Adjacent opposing characters can use mind control, but only to target Simon Garth. If they do, after resolutions, he can use Battle Fury until your next turn. So yeah, that is a downside, that adjacent opposing characters can mind control him, but only once, because then he gets Battle Fury until your next turn. When he is KO'd, you can generate a grave hindering terrain marker in the square he last occupied, protect Pulse Wave. So that's kind of nice, if you're playing with some of those figures that do things with the grave markers. Like Black Lanterns and such. But let's see, Sidestep with an 11 attack, 4 damage, Exploit Weakness, 18 invulnerable is pretty great for 50 points. Again, I feel like he'd be pretty good to have Motorcycle to get charge, because the +2 to speed with the charge and also super senses would be great. It also kind of help him dodge out of some mind controls maybe. And you just get some good close attacks in there for 50, well, it'd be 65 points with the motorcycle. But yeah, I think he's a decent close attacker. He does have a big downside to, being able to be mind controlled by opposing characters. That's kind of the only thing. So yeah, overall, he's kind of okay. Next up, we've got Nantu, not to be confused, of course, with Encanto, the movie, but he is a mummy guy, which is part of the Legion of Monsters, I believe. Yeah, Howling Commandos and Legion of Monsters. Monster Mystical Past Ruler Warrior. He's got Sidestep, and if he has no action tokens, he can use Sidestep twice a turn. And then he's got Invincible and Willpower, and he can't be healed or chosen for Mastermind, Protected, Outwit. So pretty much just like a stronger version of the generic mummies that we saw in the commons. He's got a really long dial, only 60 points. 10 attack, super strength, 4 damage. I kind of wish he had like an 11 attack, or maybe had that close combat expert up front. But he can potentially sidestep twice if he has no tokens, which is pretty good because you basically move him 4 squares for free every turn until you take an action token. Having only 16 to 15 defense does suck, though. But, he's got 8 clicks of life with Invincible that's Protected, Outwit, so that's not too bad. And Willpower, so he could potentially just keep taking his token off. For only 60 points, isn't too bad. Otherwise, he's pretty slow with only a 4 movement. He's just kind of one of those weird figures that's very accurate to being like a mummy, right? He's super strong, he can take a hit, he's got a long dial, but unfortunately, he just also can't be healed or, use that to be targeted by Mastermind to kind of help out your team or anything. If he could do some of those things, he would definitely be better. Like, if you could just heal him up even, would be awesome. I can understand not being Masterminded too, because that would even be more thematic, because, he's like a ruler, right? He's like a pharaoh. So, yeah, I don't know the character too much, but I mean, mummies are usually pharaohs or whatever, so I can assume that much. Anyway, I just think it would be cool if he could be healed, because it'd be nice. And if he had like an 11 attack up front, then I would like to play him that much more. Otherwise, I think dropping him down to like 40 or 50 points would have been better, even if they had to take a click or 2 off the end. Just making him like a little stronger than the generic mummies. I don't think the generic mummies had Protected, Outwit on their defense power, though, so that does help him out. Overall, I would say he's better than the mummies, although for 60 points, I wouldn't necessarily say he's better than 2 mummies. But I think it'd be fun to play a team of him and a bunch of mummies. Regardless, it's cool to have him. I think it's been a long time since we've had this character. I think we had him back in Amazing Spider-Man when we got a lot of these characters. But regardless, he's a fun character, and it's just cool to have a new version of him. Next up, we've got Werewolf by Night, who, of course, we got a cool, short MCU film in black and white about him, which is pretty awesome. I actually like that quite a bit. And it looks like we're going to get more of the Werewolf by Night, because of that short film coming out in the next set with Disney Plus and everything. So that'll be fun. I'd like to see how the comic version compares to the MCU version. But he's got Legion of Monsters, Midnight Suns, Animal, Monster, Mystical keywords, Mystics team ability, the Moon trait that we've seen before, roll a d6 on a 1 through 4 shape change, on a 5 or 6, attack +1 and flurry, 80 or 50 points. So when you look at those dials, and the only thing that's different is 1 less on the defense, I kind of feel like the 50-point line is the way to go. Because, 30 points is kind of a lot to pay for just 2 clicks of health that are almost identical to the starting click of the 50-point line. For those 30 points, you could play 2 generic werewolves at 15, or like a mummy or something random. Or for just 25 points, you could play Scott Porter. But anyway, he's got improved movement for elevated and characters, which is great to get some more use out of that charge. Blades and Battle Fury are good for, getting some damage in and getting through shape change. And then, he's also got traded leadership, and when he uses it and succeeds after resolutions, you may move a friendly character with the monster keyword 1 square. If he's 80 points, he may instead move any number of friendly characters with the monster keyword 1 square. Okay, there you go. That's what it is. You play him on a team full of monsters, and the 80-point value definitely comes into play there, because then you're getting to move your whole team 1 square, which, might not sound like a lot, but trust me, it is. If you can reposition your entire team, even just a little bit, every turn that you're getting that leadership, it's definitely worth it. But I mean, I don't know, even for 50 points, getting to move any 1 character 1 square whenever you hit that leadership is still pretty nice. So I would say the 50-point line is still really solid, And the 80-point line would really only be good, I think, if you're playing a whole monster team and you just want to move them all a square for that leadership role. So yeah, I think he makes a pretty great leader for a monster team, and he also makes a pretty good close attacker. Oh, I also want to mention that he does have, some good sidestep and steal energy and exploit combo here at the back, so he can be able to heal himself up. Having some built-in healing is always nice to have too. So overall, I think he's a pretty good figure for sure. And like I said, I can't wait to see how he stacks up against the MCU version. All right, but next up we have Blackout. This guy's actually the last of these, normal standard 1x1 clicks figures here. Next ones are all the 1x2 extended bases. So taking a look at his card here, Magia, Assassin, Monster, and Mystical keywords. His trait, Back in Black, gives him Poison, Smoke Cloud as Stealth, and Smoke Cloud as Free, but with a minimum range value of 1. Damage dealt to opposing characters occupying Blackout smoke terrain markers is Penetrating. That's pretty awesome. That's actually really cool because you can Smoke Cloud all around him, and then Poison, because all damage dealt to characters occupying his smoke is Penetrating, which would include, Poison or him hitting them or whatever. And then Hypersonic Blades or Close Combat Expert. I mean, he's going to have a 12 attack either way, but you're either hitting for 4, which I would probably just do, or you could roll for Blades if you really wanted to. Oh, and then he's got Mastermind, Super Senses, and Toughness there on his back half, which is a pretty great combo of defense powers, especially with traded Stealth and Smoke Cloud. Definitely going to help keep him alive. He has kind of a lot of points, though. 80 points, kind of a steep investment there. If this guy was like a super rare or something, I feel like he could do all this and be like 60 points or 50 points even. Then he would be really solid, I think. But even as is, I think he could have some potential, for like Pope teams and everything. He's got some cool stuff going on there. He's got some good damage potential. I like all of his specials and everything. It's really fun. I love being able to free smoke and have stealth. That's always good. And I love the fact that his smoke also makes them susceptible, to basically all the damage they take is penetrating. So it's not just from him. Any of your friendly characters could come in and get some easy, free, penetrating damage in on anybody that he happened to hypersonic up and punch and then smoke cloud around them. You could then maybe drop an energy explosion or something and it's all penetrating, right? So that's pretty awesome. I think he's got some pretty cool potential if you kind of use him right, and some fun teams and stuff, some cool team builds. But yeah, I think he's a pretty cool figure. All right, next up for the uncommons, we have the uncommon Ghost Rider, who is freaking awesome on his motorcycle and everything. Love the extended base, 1x2s. I kind of miss calling them peanut bases. They made them straight, so not peanuts anymore. I kind of miss that too, because I'll be honest, these are kind of harder to turn. I don't know if you guys have had the same problem as me, but I go to turn it and like having that little extra grip right here was kind of nice to have, but it does make them a little harder to turn sometimes. But regardless, it's still cool looking nonetheless, and you always gotta love the bigger base figures. Anyway, he's got Avengers, Defenders, Legion of Monsters, Midnight Suns, Mystical, and Vehicle keywords. And Mystic's team ability, of course, is great. Although, I'll be honest, I don't know why he has Avengers. Yeah, he's Johnny Blaze. I can't, off the top of my head, remember if Johnny Blaze was ever a member of the Avengers. I know Robbie Reyes has been an Avenger for a while now. I can't remember Johnny Blaze being an Avenger. Let me know in the comments where I missed that, or if maybe that was a mistake on WizKid's part. I don't know. It's a cool keyword to have nonetheless, though. It's always a good one. It's my favorite keyword, pretty much, Avengers. So I don't mind. But regardless, he's got Giant Reach 2. When Ghost Rider hits an opposing character with a close attack after resolutions, you may place a hit character in a square adjacent to Ghost Rider. That's amazing right there. Just hypersonic in, Giant Reach 2, hit somebody with a close attack, hypersonic back with a 9 movement hypersonic, and drop them in a square adjacent to him. Just put them in a kill box so the rest of your team, bam, 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 they're right there to follow up and finish them off. And then all damage dealt by Ghost Rider is penetrating damage from his special attack power. Very strong. So he's going to already come in with a 4 damage penetrating. and then drop him off to get finished off by the rest of your team. I think that's so good. Now, for 95 points, it's not really like super meta competitive good, but it's definitely, I think, Pope good. For Pope, yes, I think he has some potential there to get some big damage in. But yeah, he's super cool. I like him a lot. Of course, Mystics helps whenever he takes a hit. He's going to be doing some damage right back. He can regen himself if need be. Yeah, I like him a lot personally. I love Ghost Rider, and this is just, in my opinion, it's the best, like, common or uncommon Ghost Rider we've had. You know, we've definitely had some better Ghost Riders in the super rares and chases. But on a budget, this is the best Ghost Rider you can get for sure. He's just very simple, but very effective, and I like him a lot. All right, up next, we have one of the coolest things in the whole freaking set, just the health cycle as an equipable object slash vehicle thing. It basically works just like a normal equipment object. You know, you can pay the points for it to start equipped on somebody, and it does have some extra rules here, however, which they're calling large object. If health cycle is on the map, characters can't occupy its squares, and adjacent characters can be given a power to equip health cycle as if they were in its square, and it's not unique, so you can play multiples of it on your team, which is really awesome. It does have indestructible. It does also have equip any, so yeah, your opponents can pick it up though and equip it, but they would have to take the time to come over there and then next turn take an action to equip it or something at least. But yeah, the cool thing here is that you turn it to any dial. I think that's on the back, yeah. When equipped, turn health cycle's dial to any click. This character positively modifies their speed by its speed value and can use the powers displayed on its dial. Its special defense power is Mystic's team ability. So you've got either Sidestep with a +1 to speed and Poison. Pretty great options. Sidestep is a really powerful power. You know, we were all super sad to see the Cloak of Levitation go, but for 15 points, you know, we get Sidestep back. It's 10 points more than the Cloak. But, you know, that thing also gave freaking plasticity and flight, which was also ridiculous for 5 points. At least this way you do get +1 movement and poison. But anyway, you also have the option of +1 to movement and hypersonic with energy shield deflection, which is probably my personal favorite here. And then you have +2 to movement with leap climb and that special defense power that gives you mystics. So, I mean, depending on what you want to do, you can get the, you know, improved movement from leap climb with extra 2 speed and also have some mystics. I mean, that's not bad. Sidestep and poison is great, especially Sidestep is really, really good for certain characters. But then you also have hypersonic and energy shield deflection, which is just so good for a lot of characters. That's my favorite option that I usually think of when I think of equipping somebody with this. And I also think it's so cool that they included these just as uncommons, so it's not too hard to actually pull 1 or 2 of these out of a brick or a case. And, you know, it's not a bad thing to have 2 or 3 of them either, because they're not unique, so you can equip 2 or 3 of them on your characters, which, to be honest, I wouldn't do more than 2 or 3 personally, because then you're getting to a lot of points spent on equipment, but they are very powerful equipment and one of the best things in the whole set. But the next one we have up here is just the regular old motorcycle, which, funny enough, I think may be even better than the health cycle. So yeah, just a regular motorcycle. Looks pretty neat though. But this one gives you some really cool options as well. So it has the exact same, you know, effects as the health cycle. It's also 15 points, but this one gives you the options for +2 to movement with charge and super senses, which is maybe one of the best options. But you also have a running shot, and the special damage power gives you passenger 1, and then the special movement power gives you improved movement characters, free move up to 1 square, which is also a really powerful option, and combat reflexes. So both of those are amazing. You know, if we're talking about like Prime Hulk for a second, one of the main reasons I think a lot of us were sad to see the Cloak of Levitation go was because it was kind of the main thing Prime Hulk needed to be good. So now we have the option of the health cycle for the sidestep, or this thing that also gives you free move 1 with improved movement for characters and the combat reflexes, which is going to be really nice to have for somebody like Hulk. So I think both of those options are great. And yeah, just for other characters too, improved movement characters, free move a square is really good, you know, for maybe somebody that likes to be more range based. They could just, you know, free move one square away from somebody and then shoot them if they don't have running shot or something. Or you could just give them running shot with this, with passenger 1, so they can bring along maybe somebody with enhancement or something like that. But even for close attackers, you know, +2 to speed with charge and super senses is nuts. Super senses has always been one of the best powers defensively. And, you know, some of those characters that just start with flurry but don't have any other type of move and attack, now we have a charge option to give them. So that is amazing. Definitely gets a lot of value to a lot more characters. And again, I think it's great that they put 2 of the best equipments in the uncommons for this set and made them both not unique. I love it. It's so cool. You can have a whole biker gang of characters now, everybody equipped with a motorcycle or a hell cycle, and it's super awesome. And I definitely highly recommend getting a couple of these and a couple of the hell cycles if you can. All right. Last but not least here, we do have the Hand Ninja on a motorcycle. I think this one's kind of funny. I would not in a million years have expected to just get a generic Hand Ninja on a motorcycle as one of these, you know, double-based figures here. So he's got hand, martial artist, and vehicle keywords. The underworld team ability to carry 1 or 2 characters that share a keyword. Stealth, when he carries 1 or more friendly characters, those characters can use stealth until your next turn. That's amazing, just handing out stealth to people. Then you also have, when he moves after resolutions, he may use Smoke Cloud as free. So really this dude is just a taxi for your other hand ninjas or martial artists. Just, you know, as long as there are less points than him, he can carry 2 people up. You know, after he carries them, they get stealth, then he can Smoke Cloud as free, so they're all just hiding in the Smoke Cloud. He doesn't have a bad dial either, though. 10 attack, precision strike, 2 damage, 17 combat reflexes is going to be a lot better in the smoke and stealth and everything. And yeah, you got some flurry and poison and exploit on the back half, and a pretty long 6 clicks for only 30 points. Can't go wrong with him. I did keep 2 of these myself just for those swarm teams, because I do love ninjas and hand ninjas and everything, so I want to do like a cool hand ninja swarm team or something. Get a couple of these guys to carry a bunch of hand ninjas from the Spider-Man set around and have some fun with that. I think that'd be a fun team. I think this guy, you know, he has his uses. It's very niche uses. He's very good at what he does, though. He's a very good taxi for those hand ninja teams. But if you're not going to play the hand ninja teams, you might not get much use out of this guy. Although for martial artists, he could still be pretty good as well. So that's an option too. But that's going to do it for the uncommons, you guys. Don't forget to let me know all your thoughts and opinions about them in the comments below. And don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, because it does help me out a lot. And don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. But if you'd like to help support the channel even more, don't forget to check the links in the description for the Patreon, or hit that join button down there for the YouTube memberships. Either way, for as little as $1 a month, you get entered into our monthly giveaways. So if that interests you, make sure to check that out, as well as seeing your name here in the credits with everybody else. But that's going to do it for this one, you guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Till next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.